Today we're making mustard crusted pork chops. They're juicy, tender pork chops that are seared first with a little fresh thyme and then topped with a super delicious honey mustard sauce that then kind of caramelizes on the top. So you get this like saucy, juicy pork chop all in one. Let's get into it. So super easy. We are gonna make our sauce first, but sometimes I actually do this while the pork is searing. But for all our intents and purposes today, here we are. So we're gonna start with Dijon mustard. So you wanna make sure it's a spicy Dijon mustard. It kind of, it really adds to that flavor. This just happened, so I just figured I'd save it for you, but you see how I like scraped the inside of this jar? And I will now use this jar to make my next round of vinaigrette, and that way the Dijon is already in there and I don't waste a drop. Just saying. All right. And then we're gonna do about a tablespoon of gross grain mustard. And then we're gonna do about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. All right, and then we are going to do about a teaspoon of honey. You can omit the honey, but I think it makes a really, really nice kind of honey mustard flavor. It is not sweet, okay? This amount of honey, a teaspoon of honey, is not gonna make this sweet. It's just gonna like round out some of the harshness maybe of the Dijon. And then white wine vinegar. And make sure you like the flavor of it on its own because it's really just gonna bring that acid, it's gonna round out everything. Dijon mustard actually already has vinegar in it. It's part of what makes it special. So this is just kind of like bumping that flavor up. Mix it together. Now this is usually the amount I make for 4 pork chops, but instead of giving me 4, they gave me like two really large ones. Whatever. Here we are today. It's not that serious. I'm pretty stoked about this pork. I'm roasting some butternut squash as we speak to eat with it. I'm just saying, these things are happening. All right, give it a taste. Yum. Make sure you like it, right? If you want it a little sweeter, add a little bit more honey. If you want a little more acid, hit it with a little vinegar. Just know that the vinegar is gonna loosen it, and the looser it is, the less it wants to stay on your pork in the oven. Now, we are going to prepare our pork. Now, while we do this, I'm gonna heat my pan because I'm a badass, and you are too. So I'm gonna do this in a cast iron skillet. You can do it in whatever pan you want or have. I just like this for its searing quality, and the fact that make sure that whatever pan you're using can go in the oven. So I'm gonna pick a little bit of fresh thyme to put on my pork here. I just really love the flavor combination. Sage is also delightful. You can pick any woody herb you'd like. Rosemary is also pretty awesome. But I would put rosemary on anything. So, fun fact. If you want to do this ahead of time so you're not like, you don't feel like you're like on Chopped, waiting for your pan to heat up, that's cool. I feel that. But also, I hate waiting. I really do. No dead time for me in the kitchen. So go ahead and grab a little bit of salt. Now I'm going to keep a pork hand and a clean hand, and that is what I'm going to do. Now just go ahead and give it a nice little, just a thin sprinkle. High up, we'll give a nice thin sprinkle. And then maybe a cracked pepper or 2, if one is so inclined. And today I am inclined. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of press that thyme in there. I want the thyme to stick and adhere while I do the other side. Okay, give it a crack. I'm smelling my pan. I can smell that it is heating up. It's getting all nice and toasty. It is moments away from smoking. Which is where I want it to be. And if I don't get my thyme picked, then I will put it in the pan and I will do it while it's in there. You also can just turn off your pan. Alrighty, just in time. Tee-hee. No food puns. Okay, check on our pan. Our pan is ready and smoking, and let's get her in there, okay? If you don't hear that sizzle, do not place it down. Yep, there she is. All right, so I have preheated my oven to 400 degrees. You can cook this anywhere between 350 and 425. You'll just have to watch the temperature. I like to kind of hit it hard, and that way, after you've kind of locked in the moisture with the seal, then it kind of cooks quickly and you get nice, tender, moist pork as opposed to dry, sad, and flavorless pork. Yeah, if those are our options. Alrighty, I'm gonna see how she's doing on the other side. Pork has a tendency to pop up in the center. Oh, look at that nice little toasty sear we got going on. Love it. It's not as pretty, but we're in this together. Cooks about 1.5 to 2 minutes on each side. So, you know, you've got about 4 minutes in the pan, and then generally about 8 to 10 in the oven, depends on how fat they are. These are pretty fat, so they're probably going to cook closer to the 10. Now, I am going to go ahead and kind of spoon or dollop this on there. Again, like I said, this is usually the quantity I make for 4. This is also really delightful on chicken and also fish, like salmon. Not all fish, just some fish. Now I'm going to save this and I'm going to use it another day. I can also take this and put that in my jar for my vinaigrette. Yum. It's like a vinaigrette starter. You can also put it on potatoes. Basically, it's good on like everything. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to pop it in my preheated oven, and I am going to let them cook. She's really fat. It's going to take closer to 12, but I'll check back in. So we are going to let that cook until it reaches 145 on an instant read. I'm going to use a cake tester to test it, but that's because I'm a professional. So maybe you shouldn't do that. Fun fact. Okay. All right. So, baked about 9 minutes, and you can see that it got nice and roasty toasty on the top with a beautiful crust of mustard, and the inside is succulent and flavorful and so juicy. But before we can cut into it, I know, dear, we have to let it rest. Now I'm going to remove it from the pan to do that because otherwise it's going to continue cooking, and I don't want it to continue cooking because we already perfectly baked it. So we don't want extraneous bake or carryover cooking happening. Now you've cooked the perfect pork chops.